From Oshawa.
Thank you, Speaker. And my question is to the Premier. Speaker, families in my community are fed up with paying for this government's mistakes on their hydro bills. Last week I heard from Matt, who got a $50 hydro bill for a yet-to-be-completed basement apartment. Now, $50 might not sound so bad, but when you look at the bill and realize that the electricity used was 0.000 kilowatt hours, and the $50 charge was for the delivery of literally nothing. So I would ask, does $50 for nothing seem like a fair deal to the Premier? Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very pleased to stand and rise and answer this question, Mr. Speaker, because what we're talking about, Mr. Speaker, is distribution. And actually, when you look at distribution, Mr. Speaker, it comes from generating plants on the wires and then into the LDC and then to that home, Mr. Speaker. And we're working hard right now on making sure that that's equitable across the province. As the Premier has said often, Mr. Speaker, we need to ensure that we find ways to lower rates for everyone, and that's one of the things that we're doing, Mr. Speaker. But we will make no apologies. We will make no apologies, Mr. Speaker, for investing in a system that actually...
The member from Kitchener-Waterloo will come to order. Finish, please.
Mr. Speaker, we'll make no apologies for investing in a system that was actually a mess, that needed repair, that actually needed to be greened, Mr. Speaker, and now we are saving $4.3 billion in our healthcare system because air pollution deaths are down 23% and 41% in hospitalizations, Mr. Speaker. We invested in our system and we're proud of that.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker, and I'm sure that Matt appreciates that wonderful explanation. But again, to the Premier, Matt paid $50 to have nothing delivered. Nothing. That's like giving the UPS guy $50 to send an empty box. Speaker, fortunately, this bill won't break the bank for Matt, but it might for others. And the only relief that he saw was your paltry provincial rebate of $2 whole and 41 cents. So, Speaker, is the Premier so out of touch that she thinks that this is okay?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So it sounds like the NDP wants us to go back as coal as well, Mr. Speaker. They want cheap electricity. Rather than invest in a system that's renewable and green, they want cheap electricity, Mr. Speaker. And that's kind of, appalling, Mr. Speaker, knowing the investments that we've made. We recognize, Mr. Speaker, that we need to ensure that we find ways to actually help people that are having a hard time with their bills, Mr. Speaker, because we understand, Mr. Speaker, that the investments that we've made are costing others more, Mr. Speaker. And so
my request is to bring civility back. Minister, wrap up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to invest in finding ways to lower rates for all Ontarians, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to do that on top of the 8% and the $60 reduction we've seen through the RRP. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.